It starts with the morning grind, which began, kind of counterintuitively, for a jungle build with a shower.
Indeed. The day didn't kick off with an axe or a saw. The sources are very clear that Dame took a shower first thing, and this wasn't some hot, steamy luxury wash either.
No, not at all. The commentator actually pointed out that it looked quite cold. But here's the interesting part, the analytical bit. The sources note that whether it was cold or not, this particular action was super popular with the viewers.
Ah, the performative aspect.
Exactly. It's a brilliant piece of content creation. It highlights that the willingness to endure discomfort, that show of grit, is just as important to the brand as the final thing you build.
That's a fantastic insight into the the modern survival narrative. But speaking of narrative, there's another small detail about continuity.
Go on.
The sources mention that someone named Wu Fengke is not returning today.
So there are other people involved.
Right. It tells us there's an ongoing, probably complex storyline happening outside of this immediate build, a whole social dimension. But for today, the focus is incredibly tight. It is all about output.
And once that cleansing ritual was over, he was straight into the hard labor.
Yeah.
The routine starts with a daily necessity, chopping wood or vines. The sources call it encheng wan. What really caught my eye, though, was this explicit, almost admiring comment about the quality of the cutting tool being used.
Yeah.
They say this tool is quite good.
Well, efficiency starts with your gear, right? Having the right equipment for a task like that, the aggressive harvesting of raw materials, it's just non-negotiable.
And that efficiency seems to lead right into the next phase.
It does, the resource collection phase, which was incredibly disciplined. Dame then dedicated a full 2 hours, unbroken, to gathering these specific structural materials. They're described as tendons or these thick structural vines, tang.
2 hours, just gathering. That's a huge time commitment before you've even started building anything.
Yeah.
Why is that prep so crucial?
It's a strategic choice. You just can't build something durable, especially a permanent home, without sourcing clean, strong, and, ideally uniform materials.
So do it all at once.
Exactly. By dedicating this massive block of time up front, Dame minimizes all that back and forth, that friction, and just maximizes the output. Even if it means, you're exhausted later, it's an investment that pays off in the end.
So, the materials are finally ready. Let's get to the payoff. What did Dame actually build with 2 hours of backbreaking vine collection?
This is where the main construction kicks off. Dame brings out a tool called a juzi, which sounds like a saw, or at least a serious cutting instrument. And that's to start processing the thicker, tougher parts of those vines, the Zhu Teng Wei.
In this transition, it gives us this perfect visual contrast, doesn't it, between the tireless worker and, well, the supporting cast who are already enjoying the benefits.
Oh, it's a great moment.
While all this backbreaking work is happening, the sources note that the dog and Hujie, the monkey, have decided it's time for Shui Deng.
A midday nap.
A midday nap.
It's a perfect visual metaphor, isn't it? You've got Dame just deeply absorbed in this difficult, repetitive work, wrestling with the jungle, while the beneficiaries of all this future domestic bliss are literally kicking their feet up. It just highlights the sheer singular effort required.
So the goal of all this intense labor is clearly defined in the sources.
Yeah.
It's the construction of something they call a elembukyan.
Vilmbaki, yeah. Which translates to something like a powerful barrier or maybe a sturdy fence.
Okay.
And based on the materials, those incredibly thick vines, we're talking about a heavy, dense, interwoven structure. This isn't just a simple property line marker.
No, this sounds serious.
It is. It's
Yeah.
designed for durability.
Yeah.
Maybe to deter larger wildlife or just provide real physical protection.
And these materials did not cooperate. The sources are very specific that these vines were extremely thick. So thick they were notoriously difficult, even for Dame to bend and manipulate.
It sounds less like construction and more like a wrestling match with the jungle itself.
It really does. And that difficulty brings us to the next huge time investment. After finally finishing just one section which sounded like a battle, Dame commits to 3 more hours of continuous focus work.
3 more
Hours?
It's unbelievable. So that's 5 hours just between collection and the main construction. The commentator explicitly praised this, saying Dame has exceptional patience. Nashin Taidush, too much patience. But I have to ask, is it patience? Or could it just be a lack of planning, forcing this grueling push to meet some kind of internal deadline rather than being some commendable virtue?
That's a really critical question. Is it patience or is it pure necessity?
Right.
The commentator sees it through that moral lens, the virtue of endurance. But strategically, you might be right. If Dame had stopped, those vines might twist or dry out. The job could become impossible the next day.
So you have to finish what you start. You have to. So while it demands patience, it's also this necessary, intense commitment to use the materials while they're still workable. This kind of endurance is what ensures projects don't just get abandoned halfway through.
So what's the result? What does 5 hours of this dedicated grinding get you?
Well, the Elmo Pyeongchang is nearly finished, and the outcome isn't just functional. It's described as giving the viewer the feeling of being in a peach garden.
A peach garden.
Yeah. And that aesthetic result is so important. If we connect this to the bigger picture, that peach garden vibe confirms this is about creating psychological comfort, not just physical safety.
It's the transition from a place you just survived to a place you actually want to live.
Precisely. Which brings us neatly into the later phase of the day. Customizing the space, adding creature comforts. The focus shifts from the macro structure to the micro details.
Yeah, the beautification starts.
Exactly. Dame is now actively landscaping the exterior of this new barrier.
And we get this lovely, detailed sequence of steps. Dame selects a specifically beautiful Plant Yu Pyeongyang Day. Then carefully digs a pit, buries the plant, and then meticulously trims and tidies up the whole surrounding area. It's like planting a garden and improving the curb appeal.
It shows an investment in permanence you don't landscape if you're planning to move next week.
Sure.
But the second major project is maybe the biggest sign of that domestic commitment. Building a custom nest or kennel specifically for Hyudae the monkey.
Prioritizing the comfort of your companions.
It's all about them, and the sources really highlight the craftsmanship here. They describe Dame as shingling, sheen, clever, and skillful when the nest is finally done.
So it wasn't just a quick pile of leaves.
Oh no, it was a crafted piece of furniture, essentially.
And the result?
The satisfaction is immediate. Heidi, the sources tell us, tries out the new nest right away, and we get this simple, perfect confirmation. Heiji, it fits perfectly.
That's a huge milestone. The monkey now has his own permanent customized space.
Look in the newly constructed peach garden. It's perfect.
Which brings us to the end of this incredibly long and, frankly, monumentally productive day.
Yeah.
After achieving these twin goals, securing the perimeter and giving Hugi his own home, the sources confirm Demi finally gets to rest. Keksiyu Hongle.
But what really stands out is the final detail, the measure of that effort.
What's that?
The sources include a little logistical note. There will be no dinner today. They wait until tomorrow.
Wow.
It's subtle, but it's so powerful. It just underscores the absolute exhaustion and the day's priorities. Construction was more important than immediate caloric needs.
The 5 hours of nonstop labor just drained everything.
Drain the tank completely. No energy left for food prep.
So what does this deep dive really show you, the listener? It's that immense dedication required not just to scrape by, but to fundamentally shift from surviving to, well, building and flourishing.
And that process demands exceptional patience, strategic resource use, and sometimes, pushing past your immediate comfort like skipping dinner for a long-term domestic gain. The act of creating comfort is a form of survival.
So a final question for you to think about. Given the huge effort to create something so beautiful like that peach garden feeling, how much of this kind of wilderness life is about practical safety versus psychological comfort? Is it Elmakong really needed to keep predators out? Or is it needed to make the builder feel safe enough to finally rest?
That's the core tension of any domestic project, isn't it? And on that note, let's go back to where we started.
This sticky incident.
The sticky incident, that strange aftermath of the Snake World experience right before this massive building push. And then you have the complete exhaustion and lack of dinner at the end of it all. It raises a really important, provocative question for you to mull over. In a high-effort survival scenario, how do specific, unusual external stresses like that Snake World incident influence the sheer endurance you need for a project like the Elmbakong?
Did Deme build the fence because they needed shelter? Or because they urgently needed to replace that mental stress with productive physical output?
Something to think about. Until the next time we dive deep into your sources.